Welcome, everyone, to the L7C Podcast Wrestling Edition. Today is the episode you guys have been waiting for the past couple of weeks. If you listened to the last wrestling episode, we said we were going to separate this. We did talk about it a little bit at the end, so go listen to the All In, All Out Payback review. But this episode fully about CM Punk, Phil Brooks. We got the wrestling expert, Mr. Jacob Mason, with us. How are you doing today?
Dude, I am fantastic. Been excited for this podcast. It's gonna be a good one.
We got the captain with us, Byron Mitchell. How are you doing today?
I'm old. I'm tired. I work with fucking children. No, I'm good.
Oh no. For that, Byron mentioning the media scrum. So guys, at the biggest wrestling event in history, only CM Punk can get fired. Like, at the biggest event in history, it was supposed to be feel good. He gets fired. Who wants to talk about what actually happened there? Byron, you want it? Jacob, you want it? Who wants to go?
Even I don't know exactly for sure what the fuck happened there. So
we know it involves him and Jungle Boy. We know that.
So
go ahead, Byron.
The gist of what happened at All In, Jungle Jack Perry had a match with Hook for the FTW Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And either Jungle Boy slammed Hook on a car or Hook slammed Jungle Boy on a car, and then Jungle Boy got up and said, "It is real glass, cry about it." So behind the scenes of that is that Jungle Jack Perry wanted to do a real glass stunt on Collision. CM Punk said, "No, we're not doing that." So then he ended up doing it at All In. So CM Punk apparently got upset about that. And before his match with Samoa Joe at All In, him and Jungle Jack Perry had a altercation. And apparently fists were thrown. Tony Khan said he felt threatened. But just a bunch of fun stuff.
Yeah, and he apparently lunged at like Tony Khan, and Tony Khan got threatened for his life, and Tony Khan came out during Chicago week, the week after, the week that was dedicated to basically CM Punk. They were spending the whole week in Chicago, and he has to tell the crowd that they had to make a decision that they terminated Phil Brooks' contract on September 4th. That Labor Day, no, because that's Labor Day. It was September 2nd.
Yeah, whatever day that All Out.
Yeah, the first Saturday of the month of September, because I believe the 4th was Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the 2nd, it was September 2nd, first Saturday of September, and CM Punk got fired. Before we even get to give our thoughts, like, how the hell did we get here with Mr. Phil Brooks? Obviously, we're not going to go through the whole history, just a quick thing. Everyone knows he left after the Royal Rumble in 2014. WWE had that meeting with Triple H, all that stuff. He left. No one knew why CM Punk was gone. There's a whole bunch of rumors. Everyone wanted him back. All of us wanted him back. We had no idea what happened. Then it was years later, right before Thanksgiving, as the Colt Cabana podcast tells all, says he's never coming back to wrestling, yada yada. 7 years after that, 2021, he debuts at AEW, one of the biggest returns in wrestling history. Like the pop there, of course, in Chicago. Once we started putting the pieces together, we're like, oh my God, they really got CM Punk back. He goes there, talks about he's going to help the young talent. He wants to make AEW one of the top things ever, yada yada. Wins the title within a year. Then we get to the media scrum, which listen to our full review on that. It'll be in the comment on the description box. Has the issue with the Elite. We all thought, is this real? Is this fake? It's real. The Elite hate him. He hates them. Hangman Adam Page, they have beef. He gets suspended. We don't know if he's coming back. We don't. And then they make a brand new show called Collision. Where's the first Collision episode? Chicago. And we're like, and then Tony Khan says, the return of CM Punk brings back the real championship, whatever that was. Go through it again. Permanently fired in another year. Jacob, man, have you, all your years of wrestling, have you ever seen a 2 years like this ever?
No, not with one specific wrestler. No, can't say that. Can't say this. This is a first one for me.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a lot to dive into with all this shit.
Where are we diving first?
I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't we had the fucking? I believe it was the Media Scrum podcast.
Mhm.
I think we asked the question, like, was it worth it?
And
Was
now,
CM Punk worth it? I think when we had that podcast,
Mhm.
and we're specifically saying no, not fucking worth it. Let's go forward. We have the other thing. Homie gets fired after having his own goddamn TV show. Fun fact: still ain't fucking worth it.
yeah, because I know there were some people who they're like, well, we don't know if he was fired the first time. Let's wait and see. Like, because we were like, we have to have a serious discussion on if waiting the 7 years was really worth these two.
We're just gonna ignore the UFC years.
Well, I mean, there was that too. Yeah, well, there was that too. The two fights. Byron, I mean, Jacob's right. That's the real question people have to ask now. And I mean, you like seeing, I mean, WWE pipe bomb, everyone knows pipe bomb, 434 days, champ, yada yada. One of the top guys in the company was like 1A, 1B with John Cena in that time period. What are your thoughts, man?
I have so many thoughts because I don't know if I still am. Well, I enjoy CM Punk. He makes good promos. He's great at wrestling. Like you said, the pipe bomb took over the internet. Every anniversary comes up on Twitter or X as it's called now. Pipe bomb heard around the world. I listen to it because that's a great promo. I know he is one of the biggest. Well, was one of the biggest draws in AEW because
he was. He was the number one draw and the shirt seller, more than the champ.
Right, which is crazy, but
well, his fans are fanatics.
That's true. Number one in AEW merch sales, all that, big ticket pusher. But his backstage antics, man, I don't think he was worth it. Like the first time, I would say, okay, maybe if it was just like a one-off situation, but it wasn't because it happened literally a year later.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that CM Punk wasn't the main thing of the last podcast is out of respect for our wrestling expert, Jacob. Because our WrestleMania episode, I mean, which is funny because we're waiting on a particular person to bring this episode up, but the WrestleMania on what it was one of Jacob's best episodes.
It was.
We didn't even talk about most of WrestleMania, which because we had to bitch about the finish, and rightfully so. But then you sit there and it's like, well, we're a mom and shop pod. If we had all day, we could have then talked about the matches, but all of us got normal jobs. So that's when I'm listening. I was like, CM Punk getting fired was the number one wrestling news over Wembley, over All Out, over Payback. So I was like, well, this time we could at least split it up and talk about it separately so we could talk about the wrestlers who actually are doing their jobs. And
we have yet another good big pay-per-view that gets taken over by CM Punk and his fucking bullshit. Here we go again.
Yeah. It was supposed to be AEW's biggest 2 weeks in history.
Supposed to be.
I mean, it kind of was, theoretically.
True, because people were talking about him.
If you look at it objectively, it still was AEW's like biggest thing since they started up.
It's just crazy because you really sit there and we talk about the WWE CM Punk, anti-establishment, for the people, all that stuff. But as Jacob has shared, you go back and listen to what like Triple H during their feud was saying, and you're like, wait, Has Triple H been right about this guy the whole time?
Oh yeah. Martin, correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't it the Joker in Batman that said like die a hero or
live long enough to see become the villain?
To become the villain?
It was in The Dark Knight. Yeah, Harvey Dent said it. Yeah,
Dark Knight.
100%.
CM Punk lived that. That dude was the fucking anti-hero, and everyone was behind him.
Yep.
The fucking Money in the Bank. If John Cena wins, we riot, and that crowd would have fucking rioted. It would have been fucking nuts. And now the dude is the most hated motherfucker, real heat, in the entire wrestling industry. Currently, give it a week because IWC changes, every other day.
Dude, it's just insane because Jacob, you hit it right on the head, man. Like when he left, we all hated WWE for it. We're like, fuck WWE. It's all your fault. You sent his. Obviously, if you're a wrestling fan, you have listened to the Colt Cabana podcast with Punk. That was the only reason I subscribed. Me personally, that was the only reason I subscribed to Colt Cabana's podcast. It was that day. I'll never forget sitting at work and I'm like, wait, CM Punk on Colt? Hold on. But you heard all the stuff. He got his termination papers on his wedding day. Like you heard all of that jazz. He called Ryback steroid guy because he had to keep working with him, getting hurt. And then Vince and Stone Cold, they talked about it, said Vince, that was an honest mistake, yada, yada. But then when you come back and you do this stuff unprovoked, like it's not like CM Punk is a 20-year-old rookie and he's going off as some old veteran's like, hey, let me talk to you. Let me calm you down. He's the veteran. He's the star. This was a guy when came back in 2021. He's the biggest star in wrestling. All wrestling.
Yep.
It was the biggest return in the past 10, 15, 20 years. Potentially and maybe one of the biggest returns ever. And AEW was able to get this guy and they were doing things and it's weird. Like he's not a rookie. Like he should know that you can't say the stuff you say and then think everything's going to be okay in that back.
He probably did because he was the number one merchandise seller, number one ticket pusher. He's like, well, I'm doing all this, man. I can't get away with saying dumb shit.
But he was saying dumb stuff about the EVPs of the company.
I know. He wasn't fully thinking, man. That's clear.
Like all of us, I know we brought this up a long time ago, Jacob. All of us like Adam Hangman Page. Good dude. So when CM Punk's ripping Hangman and calling him a piece of shit, we're like, wait, where's this coming from?
I mean, let's talk about the fucking EVPs a little more here. I mean, from everything I've read, and I believe this one, the Bucks and Omega said, if he can go 6 months without some bullshit happening, we'll fucking talk it out.
Yep.
Whether that's right or wrong, I mean, you can look at that in different ways and both better and worse. But they make a very valid point. Just go 6 months without being a fucking drama queen. It's not fucking hard.
Yep.
Bro, you got your own TV show with people who just want to fucking work with you. The people you don't like, they're staying on Wednesdays. You have your crew. We're running the Chicago territory like every other fucking week. What else could you fucking ask for? Dude can't go 6 months without fucking wanting to throw down out back. And I'm sorry, dude. I've watched your fucking UFC fights. You ain't no fucking Randy Couture. You ain't no Brock Lesnar. You ain't no Bobby Lashley.
And Shamrock, all of them.
And Ken Shamrock.
Like, nah. Like, I get it. But nah, dude. You ain't that guy, pal. You ain't that guy.
Yeah, it's wild that he couldn't go 6 months without collecting a paycheck and showing up and going home every day. Like, dude, come on. Get that bag and go home like a normal person. Like, he really did not have to say shit to Jack Perry, which I just can't get over. Just because he said on national TV. Like, I didn't know that was a dig at CM Punk until all the shit came out. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. He did that real TV, real glass, cry about it, or whatever. Then CM Punk just had to be CM Punk and instigate shit.
Like it was. Go ahead, Jacob. Keep going.
Something else, like I know I just said, oh, let's talk about the EVPs, but fuck it. Let's talk about like the ex WWE guys. Let's talk about Jon Moxley, the ace of AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Listen back to that promo. I don't even know if I talked about this on the last podcast or not, but you listen to his promo that he cut on Punk last year. And he's like, I'm sorry. I want to apologize to the fans because CM Punk isn't who you think he is. I want to apologize because he's a fragile, frail, ego something bitch or something along those fucking lines. And it's like, yeah, he was right.
I was trying to find the exact, because I have all of CM Punk's timeline thing, but the one thing I was trying to find was a long time ago of the big thing. When he came back the second time, had his own show. It was almost Hulk Hogan WCW like contract level. He was going to be involved in all the storylines. Just saw here he had alleged veto power of who was allowed on Collision. Because like Jacob, you said, you were on Collision, you were Team Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Young Bucks and them didn't go to Collision till he left.
Yep. Yeah, Samoa Joe, you had FDR, you had his boys.
Oh, yeah.
The boys. I mean, like, listen, like you said earlier, we all work regular fucking job. You know, I would fucking kill for my fucking job to be like, hey, mate, hey, Jake, what we're going to do is you can pick out your own shift with your own crew, with your own boss, with your own analyst and everything else. You can pick that. Dude, and make a big ass fat paycheck. Shit. Man, I will be the nicest person and I'll support the living shit out of my company. I'll be such a cheerleader. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's so like you have all that power, which goes back to a Triple H thing. CM Punk didn't care. As Triple H said, CM Punk didn't care about the stuff unless he had the power.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about this for the people, for the people. It's only for the people when he has the power. And you want to think about something freaking crazy. One of his biggest gripes in WWE was, Jacob, you can make the case, he's the OG right guy, wrong place. The times he should have been main eventing WrestleMania, the freaking Rock wants to wrestle.
Yeah.
So then he goes to AEW. He doesn't even get to main event the biggest show.
But he's not he was the real, I'm saying this with finger quotes here for the listeners. The real champion, but whatever.
Which is scrapped now. They just got rid of it. Like you said, Jacob, you said that last podcast. They need to just get rid of it.
Get rid of it, pretend it doesn't exist, and move on. But at the same time, like CM Punk was the right guy at the right time. Mm-hmm. We all were so frustrated with WWE. Mm-hmm. We could not stand the things that was happening in WWE. And there was just one guy who's out here saying all the shit that we're feeling on TV. That flash in the pan, that was the most, that is what got CM Punk. Mm-hmm. Was saying what we all felt. And that's why we all backed him back then. 100%. So they're right guy, wrong time. Yes, but right guy, right time. Flash in the pan. He couldn't have struck that iron while it was hotter at any better time. That was perfect for him at that time.
Jacob, not a lot of people, his fans are saying that CM Punk should sue AEW for false termination. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, one, I'd imagine because AEW is based out of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I imagine it's a right to work state like Ohio is. Mm-hmm. So I'm imagining they can probably just can your ass for no good reason. But Tony Khan probably, I imagine he had a whole entire room full of lawyers saying like, hey, this is what you need to say. You're in fear for your life and you win this. You're not going to have to worry about shit. Because let's be real. Tony Khan, not the best. Like he's no Attitude Era Vince McMahon. He's not. He is a wrestling fan and then a wrestling boss. I imagine that must have really sucked for Tony Khan to go, fuck, I gotta get rid of CM Punk. I brought him back and now I have to fire his ass. Fuck, that sucks.
Do you think the last straw is when he actually allegedly lunged at Tony? Was that the final straw? Because Jack Perry's still suspended.
Jack Perry's still suspended. Do you think? Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and ask this. Do you guys actually think he legitimately lunged at Tony Khan?
I don't know. I mean, we didn't think he got in a fight with the EVPs, but
I did.
Well, not me at the time. I didn't think he did. But
the
then
way
it came
he was
out
talking,
that
oh no,
he did. So I don't know.
I don't think
CM
so.
Punk angry. I don't know.
I don't think he lunged. He might have gotten in his face and
yes.
I believe that. 100% that. But with the Jack Perry thing, that shit could have escalated if Rusev or Samoa Joe weren't there.
Sure.
I mean, because who's going to start a fight there if Samoa Joe's telling you to stop?
Yeah.
Dumb.
That's a real deal right there.
Yeah, I'm with you, Martin. I personally, I just can't imagine, but I could be very wrong here. What do I know? I'm just a dumb fucking guy in my fucking double wide trailer. I'm not fucking smart. But I just can't imagine fucking CM Punk lunging at Tony Khan. But I can't imagine Tony Khan being like, this motherfucker lunged at me, because in all actuality, he probably got in his face and said, hey, you're a fucking idiot. Or something along those lines.
But to your point too, Jacob, I want to throw this to you, Byron. And Jacob, you brought it up. All the shit Tony has done for Punk, and then for if you've done all that stuff for someone, Byron, and then they get in your face and call you fucking idiot, you're stupid, you don't know how to do anything. How are you gonna feel after you've done so much for them?
Right, I've done so much for you, and you're attacking wrestlers, you're getting in fights with that you shouldn't be getting into, and then you lunge at me, air quotes for the listeners. I'm going to be very upset. I'm going to be like, maybe this wasn't a good investment in my money because this person is a selfish, egotistical maniac.
Because this is a Punk thing. I'm going to bring up a name we try to avoid saying because he's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and his days are behind him. Vince Russo. God, some L7C fan tells the last time we said this person's name. Vince Russo said that Tony Khan's just a little boy, and this happened all the time in the Attitude Era. And I'm just prove it.
Right.
I want you to prove that there were fights like this happening when Undertaker was your locker room leader. Get out of here.
Oh, no. No. Was Undertaker the locker room leader, judge, jury, and executioner? Hell no.
What are we talking about here? They said that, sure, they would have their stuff. The locker room would handle it. Now, that part I could kind of see because obviously with social media, we see everything now. But who is leaking this stuff to us? So, I mean, it's getting out. Someone's not keeping it in-house. None of their problems are ever in-house. And we've talked about that with AEW a lot, Jacob, that when there's smoke, there's fire every time.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. First off, that's Russo. Bro, just stop.
Oh, I wanted to smack the shit out of him when I saw something recently talking about he knew about, he had this close relationship with Bray. I was bro, see, that's the stuff Jacob was talking about. Don't do that. All these people trying to use Bray for clout.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fuck that shit. Fuck all y'all. You're the reason I was pissed off on Friday Night SmackDown. Bunch of bitches. You know what's fucked up? We've had probably as many fucking, if not more, CM Punk podcasts than we have Bray Wyatt.
Ooh, we had his dramatic return. That was a big one. Obviously the scrum, someone's in between when he won the title. I think we talked about a little when he lost that title randomly to Jon Moxley. I was freaking shocked because he got his ass whooped. But he was hurt. But then he was not hurt enough to win the belt 2 weeks later. Yeah, we've talked about him a lot, but I mean, the L7C, we kind of the wrestling podcast kind of formed in the boom of wrestling. Like, it's been a boom.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
Just going back to the EVPs, because I've been wondering this, and this is what I'm talking for. I'm not saying. I'm just giving the other perspective on Punk's fans. Should those people be EVPs? People who are active, full-time wrestlers?
No.
Oh, why not, Byron?
Because as an EVP, you're always going to be wanting to do stuff for yourself. I think it's hard to mix what you want and what the company wants. So I don't agree with wrestlers being EVPs. Like Triple H wasn't in charge until he was like a part-time wrestler, even though that stuff he did for storyline purposes anyway. But I think he should find some people that were wrestlers or just good business sound people to be his EVPs, not current active wrestlers.
Jacob, what are your thoughts on that? Because, I mean, probably the most famous EVP is now the top babyface in wrestling right now, Cody Rhodes. And he left. So, what are your thoughts on the Elite and Kenny Omega being the EVPs as full-time wrestlers?
I can see both the good and the bad of it. Byron said it great. You have a wrestler who's in charge, trying to separate the wrestling side from the business side. I imagine that's going to be hard. And then, like, let's say the right thing is for Kenny Omega to have the title. But if he wins the title, then he's fucked because it's like, oh, well, he just booked himself to win. Which goes back to like the Dusty Road days, back in the day. We're going to talk about Rhodes. Because he dealt with the same shit. Cody, when he was there, he at least had that thing as well. If I lose to Chris Jericho, I'll never go after the title, which might have been one of the best or worst things that he could have done. Because he lost that match. He's all right, I ain't gonna fuck with that belt. That's fine. Kept himself out of it, is what it is. But I also kind of look at it like it's kind of a good thing. You have someone on the roster who's all the way, next to the top, because it's almost kind of like a union in a way, but not. At my job, we're a unionized job, and if I have any problems, like I literally just text my union president. I'm like, hey man, what's going on with this situation? This doesn't make any sense. And he'll get back to me and he'll go, that's either, hey, it's okay because of this, or B, no, it's not right because of this. We'll file a grievance. Something along those lines. So both good and bad. Would it be better if they had, instead of doing the EVP thing, you literally just have a union for the wrestlers, and you have your Penny theoretically would be your president, and then you can have your quote unquote shop stewards being like the Young Bucks or an Adam Page or something along those lines, But then you also have to look at it like you have Tony Khan, who is like I said earlier, he's such a fucking wrestling fan. Is it better to have someone who is on that roster whispering into his ear, like, hey, we think this would be good. We think this would be shit, something along those lines? Or you say, fuck all that, and do you bring in like a Dutch Mantel or someone along those lines to help be big time backstage producers like that? I mean, I know they have like Chris Hero and they used to have Regal and all sorts of shit, but both good and bad. Yeah,
and it's also weird too that recently Tony Khan said like if something ever happened to him, he would want his dad to like go to Bryan Danielson for like advice on like have Bryan Danielson quasi run it. But I'm like, why would you say that about Bryan Danielson when you have the Elite and Kenny are your EVPs? Wouldn't they have something to say about it? And I know Justin talked about it the last podcast he was on with us. Is like, if you're not cool with the EVPs or / Britt Baker, it's really rough for you in there, man.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That's also why I don't think wrestlers should be EVPs, because apparently they get the final say. So if they don't like you, they're not gonna put you in matches. I mean, look what happened with Thunder Rosa.
Oh well, that's a lot. That's a lot of hate. That's a whole episode in itself too. that stuff. Those two, they make no sense. But I mean, I would trust Brian Danielson, like, because he's literally said he's going to start transitioning to more the part-time ish basis, because he said by the time his kid is 7, which is kind of crazy. As wrestling fans, we all remember when 7. It's been 7 years. Like, it's been 7 years since you were doing the yes thing at like SummerSlam 2013. Like this is like, jeez. But I don't know, man. You both make really good points. It's just I've never heard of anyone fighting like your higher ups like that multiple times. Have an issue, and it's public.
Yeah, usually at a normal person job, you fight with your boss, you're gonna get fired that first time. May got a second chance and still fucked up.
Jacob, you bring a great thing about.
Shut up. Shout out to the union. I can get
away
with
I don't
something
have a
like
union,
that.
so I can't.
Oh yeah, you brought up a great thing about Tony Khan. The first after the honeymoon phase that we used to call it in our early L7C days, I was like, all right, man. Now you have all these things happening. The honeymoon phase is over. You're starting to start getting criticism, and I agree. I think, empathetic wise, he's the most empathetic boss in wrestling. Like, he understands like that stuff. If you need time away, like John Moxley when he had to go to AA to get right, or like the alleged private jet for people who wanted to go to Bray Wyatt's funeral, all that stuff really good. But when the chips are down, when push gets to sub like this terrible stuff, he is bad.
He's the boss who wants to be everyone's friend, but not a good boss. He doesn't have that. Seems like you can push him over. He's got ain't got much of a backbone. Type deal. Which I think him firing CM Punk that wise shows like, hey, quit fucking up. I'll fire CM Punk. Anyone's fireable here.
He said that he met with his top counsel or whatever. Like, it was the move. Who was the top counsel? Was it the EVPs? That's what some people think. And the lawyers. Oh yeah,
I'm sure they had their opinion on it. I mean, absolutely, they 100% should have their opinion on it. I'd be like, listen, homie couldn't go 6 fucking months without being a fucking douchebag. I'm done with this shit. We made his own fucking TV show. He still couldn't be happy. Some people you just can't make happy. Some people, and I'm going back to Batman.
It's all right. You can
some people just want to watch the world
actually
burn.
On this Saturday anyway, so you're doing great. Byron, what are your thoughts, man? Like, because this is so much wasted opportunity that these people couldn't get this together.
Yeah. Like, Collision could have been a really great show because you had CM Punk, you had Samoa Joe, you had FTR. And those right there is a great group of wrestlers than whoever else wanted to be on Collision. But it's just like you said, wasted opportunity. And I do agree with Jacob 100% that Tony Khan is a wrestling fan first and then a boss. He needs someone that's not an EVP to help him grow a backbone, because when it's terrible out there, but when it's good, it's good.
I just think the fact that in that first media scrum, he was right next to CM Punk and didn't stop him,
but he was shocked.
Oh yeah, that dude was straight up shocked.
After he called your EVP a bunch of fucking idiots, that's when I was like, you should be like, all right, man, that's come on now. That's a little much. And one of your top baby faces at the time?
He
should have.
That's what he should have done.
And your top baby face at that time, because Hangman was the top, because MJF wasn't a baby face at all at that time. Like, Hangman was like the top baby face at that time, and and he's the future of the company. He's the present. And you're just tearing him a new one? Like, and then how do you feel, Jacob? You brought them up. How do you feel if you're FTR? Because besides Tony Khan, those are people who fought for him. They made a podcast for the guy, damn it.
That's what we said on the last podcast. When's the FTR coming out with their next episode? And we're back. So, Dak, I know you're in the middle of this, road rage gun incident, but how are we gonna talk about CM Punk? Fuck. Listen, and Byron, like you said, oh man, Collision could have been awesome. I still think Collision can be amazing because honestly, if you're taking away what is essentially the fucking cancer of this locker room, or the biggest drama fucking queen we have in this locker room, it can very easily flourish still. Just because we lose CM Punk, it's not the end of the fucking world. So next guy up, I still have, I looked at this whole thing ever since they brought CM Punk back. They're going to make a lot of money in a short amount of time because Punk's not going to be here for the super long haul. It's just fucking old. But like you said, we have fucking Adam Page. We have all this really, really, really fucking good young talent. Those are the guys that's going to be the future. Invest into that. If fucking Impact Wrestling is still surviving somehow, fucking AEW is going to be just fine. We'll be okay without Punk at the end of the day. Next guy up. Fill that fucking position. There's a spot fucking missing. Someone step the fuck up. I kind of hope it's Samoa Joe because Martin, you talked about in the last podcast, I believe. Remember when Samoa Joe was the fucking enforcer for William Regal?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Samoa Joe needs to be the enforcer for Tony Khan. Move the fuck on with that shit. Call it a fucking day.
I loved it when he was the enforcer. It was good stuff. It's just obviously because we know what Collision was made for, and then all those people. But like you said, Jacob, it's a great point because there's a lot of people in AEW who did not get on Wembley.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. There's a lot of people you do not see on wrestling, as we used to say for a while. See, Tony Khan makes a big signing. They're big for 2 weeks. Where'd they go? Now with Collision, like Jacob said, you have that show where these signings can do something.
Yep. Make yourself fucking something. Sell yourself. Anyone can fucking do it. If LA Knight can be the most over motherfucker in WWE by saying, yeah, fucking anyone can do it. We can have someone step the fuck up. And
me too.
Yeah, I'm a fucking LA Knight fan. I wasn't a big fan of him back in the fucking day. So fucking goddamn, step up, sell yourself, and fucking make it happen, boys or girls. Looking at you, Roby Soho. Step your shit up, girl.
From a wrestling fan's perspective, I think all wrestling fans, the more not maybe quasi end of casual / hardcore who really into this stuff, we all appreciate someone who gets it out of the mud and does it on their own. Like LA Knight was literally the male Maxime and Maxine Dupree. Shout out to her. They were in that male model thing, and they both got out of that and have risen from that crap to where they are today.
That's true.
The fucking Acclaimed are they're now part of the fucking trios.
Everybody loves the Acclaimed.
Dude, I'm gonna fucking. Everyone loves the motherfucking Acclaimed. Scissor me harder, daddy. Let's fucking go.
I guess too now when you're thinking, we still haven't heard a response from them.
That is what I am waiting for. I need to hear. One, is he going to tell the truth, or B, is he going to spout bullshit?
Well, he's going to tell his truth.
Well, yeah.
And then, unfortunately, we're going to have a whole other podcast for his response.
Here's the thing. I'm going to make a wild fucking prediction here. I don't think CM Punk's will end up saying a fucking thing. I think CM Punk is actually just going to sit the fuck back and go, last time I ran my fucking mouth about my last job, I ended up in a fuckload of lawsuits. So, you know what? I still made bank. I'm going to sit the fuck home. I think he's going to fucking do that.
And then, did you guys see the things where after he got fired, there were all these things coming out from all these reporters that, oh yeah, like in the past couple of years, CM Punk's been trying to find his way back to WWE. I was like, that's news to me.
Yeah, I saw that all over Twitter /X. I'm like,
I mean, I don't.
Interesting. I don't know if I believe it, but hey, if it happens, that'll be wild. But I don't see it happening.
Nah, let's just talk about it too. Like Booker T brought up a great thing, and this morally goes for us normal people, but also affects famous people. When you leave a job, man, you don't want to burn bridges.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could CM Punk go back to WWE after all the bridges that he burned?
That's true. That's a very good point.
The stuff he was saying about the person who, obviously Vince, but take away Vince, the person who's making the booking decisions at Triple H, all the crap you were talking about him, about his wife, like outside of the show, like real life.
All right, I'm gonna throw out another fucking wild saying here. We're now officially in the TKO era of WWE.
Mm-hmm.
The merger has officially happened. It's a whole new company. Theoretically, I don't think Punk would come back. But is there a fucking chance that with the new company, they could be like, hey, man, we can make a couple fucking dollars off this guy. Make a short-term fucking contract. See how it fucking works out.
Give him a Legends contract?
Oh, God, no.
Like,
no, hell no. But I've seen a lot of people say that stuff. And a lot of people, I'm going to play the hypothetical. In my honest opinion, nah, this planet will freeze before CM Punk comes back. But I could be wrong. A lot of people are thinking he is going to come back in November because a Big Four pay-per-view Survivor Series is in Chicago.
So AEW
but again,
show.
It's something that a lot of people have said. Why do all of his biggest moments have to be in Chicago?
That's where he gets the biggest pop.
Yeah, but everywhere else he's gotten booed out of the fucking building.
Exactly. So that's why you do it in Chicago.
Listen, I think homie just needs to fucking sit the fuck down, chill the fuck out, move the fuck on. I think that's what everyone theoretically needs to do in the AEW CM Punk business. Except for our podcast, of course. We have to talk about this.
Jacob, just even your fantasy booking wise, I mean, you bring someone. You bring someone in like Punk. There's only 3 options he has. They have to be at the top. He ain't starting small.
Yeah, he's not going to NXT.
No. He's either going for, we know what he would want. He's going for Roman's title, Seth's title, or he's feuding with Cody. That's it. And he has to win one of those feuds. Oh, yeah. Look at this.
Who is it?
It's the Dragon Ball expert Mitchell Osso joining in on the CM Punk thing. How are you doing today, man?
Doing good, as always. Shit. Didn't know it was a full party in here.
Oh, yeah. So just going to throw it at you, Mitch, because we've had some of our thoughts. I mean, Mitch, you've said you like the talkers. You like the trash talkers, all of that stuff. And I know you haven't been like following the product all like in tune like we have, but you've seen all the drama with Punk and all that. And do you think waiting 7 years was worth the shit we got?
No. It's just, I like people who shit talk, but there is a sort of like a fine line where like, you know, the shit talking, whenever it actually interferes with like your actual work and like your coworker, like I don't mind in WWE people who are heels because that's their job, that's their character, that's their persona, that's the act that they put on. But when you're a real life heel, like it messes with chemistry, it fucks up products, and it makes people not want to work with you. And CM Punk is an asshole to the nth degree outside of the WWE, with AEW, with whatever you name the wrestling brand, just insert their name, and he is an asshole regardless of where he goes. Like it's ridiculous. How can it all it does? Actually, I'll say this. You guys have probably said this a billion times on your guys' podcast discussing CM Punk. His actions with all of his coworkers at AEW and like Tony Khan and all them and all the other hoopla shit makes me go back and watch all the shit that they were doing in the early 2010s with Triple H and Vince and
Jesus Christ, if you would listen to the fucking podcast, you would know exactly what we're talking about. We've already been over this like 6 times
it's just,
on this podcast.
Mitch was sounding very educational, Jacob. Let him go. He was sounding very educational.
You know, the thing is, were Jacob here to be yelling at me and whatnot, like I thought he'd be riding his high horse, knowing at the end of the year he's going to have more listeners to me because Dragon Ball's in a complete dump right now. But anyway, so I guess
I was saving that for
no,
later.
it's just like he's just a whiny baby. God, what a loser.
Mitch,
Are you talking about me or CM Punk?
Mitch, I'm gonna ask you this because I asked
seriously, Punk. What were you saying?
I asked Byron and Jacob this. We all work normal jobs. If you went up to your boss and was calling him a stupid bitch and allegedly lunging at him, and then your boss is like VPs, you were getting in fist fights with them, what would happen to you at your job?
You get your ass fired. You, depending on how severe you actually took your actions, you're getting sued. You're getting, and you're never getting hired again. Like, just you better go and I don't know, pick berries in the field because you wouldn't have a job anywhere for like 20 years, especially nowadays.
Now Mitch is officially caught up to the pod. So Mitch, some of his fans think, do you think CM Punk is going to wrestle again? Do you think he could crawl back to WWE because they don't need him?
No, because like what you just said, the WWE does not need him. If they were struggling, then you know what? Desperate people make desperate. They just make desperate decisions. So it's like, it's not like certain NFL teams will sign certain players that people probably don't like to talk about and don't like what they've done, but they're just trying to have success for the first time ever. So don't really need to dive into that, but that's the example.
Byron, you're the nicest person on the podcast, probably overall of all the people who do the L7C podcast, like the 12, 13 people. So
probably.
I'm gonna. It's a definite. You're the nicest person. If you go to the website and look at everyone who does an L7C podcast, they're like, "Oh yeah, that Byron guy, the captain, he's the nicest." Would you let Punk come back to any promotion?
To any promotion?
Well, first WWE. Would you let him come back?
No, because of all the shit talk he's done over the last 7 years against WWE. I personally won't let him come back, but I luckily don't make those decisions.
If you were making those decisions, or you sat there, Punk texts you, was like, "Hey man, I know we haven't talked in 10 plus years, and the last time Triple H, I called you a little bitch on Colt Cabana's podcast." Would you take that call?
I think I would take the initial call to see what he's talking about. Like, if he's truly remorseful, then maybe we can do something together. But
no.
I think I would have to give him like a probationary period. Like,
Byron, he would want to be the one to take out Roman Reigns.
Yeah, work yourself up to that, bud.
Last time we saw him work himself up. What about if you're Tony Khan? This goes out to Jacob too. In 2 years from now, where CM Punk's like, "Hey man, I know I messed up. We haven't talked in a while. I still think you're one of my best friends. Let's talk business." What are you gonna say? Okay.
I would listen to him. Like, I'll hear it out. But at the end of the day, if I'm Tony Khan or I'm Nick Khan, I no, I don't need you. If I'm in Impact Wrestling, fuck yeah, come aboard, buddy. If I am New Japan or Pro Wrestling Noah, sure, Punk, I think could flourish there, 100%. Because like, have him just come in, be a part-time fucking
part-time
American dude, like run it old school. Like I'm trying to think of what the fuck the right word is. Like you remember, like back in the day, like you used to have like Vader and Brody over in New Japan and All Japan and all that stuff. So they had a word for it. I can't think of it. Shout out to him, just a dumb fucking guy living double blood. But he would be fine part-time. Just bring him in. Hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's the storyline. Here's 4 matches. Do this. We're going to sign you for 4 matches and 5 appearances. That's it. Call it a day. But full time? Nah, man. Get the fuck out of here.
What any of you guys said. I mean, once Triple H became like suit Triple H, he's mended a lot of fences on behalf of WWE. He mended Bruno Sammartino. He mended Goldberg, Ultimate Warrior. He got Sting. But this one, nah, man, I don't think that's happening. Because the moment he doesn't like something, he's gonna try and fight someone backstage now.
That's true.
He's gonna do that shit and then get his ass whooped by Bobby Lashley.
Homie probably needs it. Like every now and then someone needs like a good ass beat and he's kind of like kick himself. And obviously he did not get checked hard enough in the UFC. So
Mitch watched those UFC fights too.
This is very tough of Blanchard.
Wait, what do I do?
You saw. Go ahead, Jacob.
Like this feels very, very. This is just like very Tessa Blanchard. There's just so much heat, and there's so much fucking toxicity. It's like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Maybe, maybe not. Not long term, short term. Yeah, I'll sign you to.
No, Mitch, I was saying how you watched the CM Punk UFC fights because obviously had the intrigue, and then he got his ass kicked. But Mitch, before you came on, the CM Punk Omega fans think he is going to come back to WWE. And you brought this up a lot too. They think he's going to come back to WWE in November at Survivor Series just because Survivor Series is in Chicago.
I really hate Chicago. I really hate Chicago. Like Jacob, I don't. You know what, Jacob? I'm going to connect this to you, man. I'm going to connect this to you.
Yes, sir.
You one time called my fans stupid.
Oh,
well, specifically, any of your WWE fans that have that Chicago mentality to them, they're fucking morons. They are stupid.
Listen, bud. Listen. If you would listen to the L7C Wrestling podcast, I have gladly made fun of my own fans on here multiple times.
No,
I talk about blood money. I have actually called out entire countries, entire vast countries, which we have listeners in. I have been like, yeah, your country's fucked, homie. I still stick by those fucking standards. Yeah, they are dumb as fuck. If the CM Punk L7C fans like, hey, shout out, thanks for listening or watching on YouTube because hey, we're getting more views than Mitch.
I'm just saying, no, your fans outside of the Chicago metropolitan area, I got no beef with them. Your Chicago fans, they're stupid. I'm sick and tired of things in the sporting world where CM Punk in Chicago, like Chicago just bails him out. Like stop.
That's a good point.
Like there are CM Punk is great. Like one of the highest profile names in especially the industry, but I think in the general sports world, people generally know about him, but like, just stop. It's tribal.
It's very tribal. It's like, we're all from Ohio and there's all this Ohio versus everyone mentality. And it's just the Chicago version of it because that's their boy. I can understand. I can understand. Just don't go like completely insane over it. I would say, like, at least be like open to hearing other opinions. You know,
Chicago has plenty of other people that have come out of it.
Yeah.
And have had just great success, and they can hold that Chicago banner, above their head, and that city can be proud of it. Just learn to cut the cord.
I agree.
Yeah, but at the same time, if they really, really are a diehard CM Punk Chicago everything fan, they should never have to listen to another Mitch podcast ever again, and only listen to the L7C wrestling podcast.
That's crazy.
You're
Actually,
wrestling
low key, if you're calling
amazing.
all of your fans stupid, why do they not jump ship and join mine?
That's crazy.
Like,
y'all anyway.
Has this weird Stockholm syndrome with Jacob.
The Saudis love me, man.
I don't know if that's something
the Saudis love me.
Okay.
I was going to say something stereotypical, but we're gonna save that for another day. Like, just, never mind.
All right, last words for each person. If you could be face to face with CM Punk right now, what would you tell him to do? Start with Mitch. One thing. What would you tell him to do?
I don't know. Can I go last? Because I'm trying to think of something funny. It's like, nah,
oh my god.
Nah. No, I'm not the expert on this podcast. I don't deserve to go last. What would I tell CM Punk if I saw him in person? Can you sign my autograph so I could sell it on eBay and make money off?
Wow. to the pipe bomb of 2011.
Yep. Yeah. You see, that's the thing. Like, back then, I thought of that promo, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty legit. If someone was asking me at 4 a.m. at the airport to sign their stupid shit to sell on eBay, I'd be pissed off too. But now I'm just like, yeah, you little whiny little bitch. I'm going to ask you to sign my shit now at the airport at 4 a.m. so I can sell it on eBay. I'm going to call you an asshole when you don't do it.
That was clever. That was clever.
That was good. It was.
Byron, what would you tell him, man? We know you're going to say something, positive.
I was just going to tell him, grow the fuck up.
Oh, that was not what I thought you were going to say.
Thing I've ever heard Byron say.
I'm back like a little bitch.
I was not expecting that. Shoot. Okay. Well, whatever.
We're gonna have to put like the explicit sign next to this podcast.
Well, that'll be the first Byron.
Jacob, what would you tell him?
I would tell him, listen, man, I think you done fucked up. That being said, if you want to vent out all your frustrations, please come on to our podcast, the L7C. We'll let you talk all you want. That way I'll get more views. It'll be the biggest podcast of the company. That would be what I would tell him. But dude, I would just like, I don't know. Part of me wants to hear his side of the shit. The other part of me is like, dude, just stay home and just chill the fuck out.
I agree with all you guys, what you guys said. Either as he needs to stay home and chill, or he needs to go on the apology tour. Or just, those are the only two options, I think.
I mean, there is a third option. He can double down. He can double down. And he's not popular. People even more going to listen to him if he fucking doubles down. We're going to. And we'll have
I don't know. The last time he doubled down, man, he was calling Ryback steroid guy. He wasn't even using his name.
He still ain't.
Was he wrong though?
I mean, Ryback's interesting. But that being said, thank you for listening to the CM Punk Tell All. We greatly appreciate you guys listening in. It's not often that we have a combination of Jacob, Byron, and Mitch coming in. I think this combination has only happened once, and that was last year with the betting podcast.
Yeah,
I believe. So it's not too often this combination happens. So we thank Dragon Ball expert Mitch for hopping into a wrestling one. You'll be hearing Mitch literally 6-7 days from now, 6 to 8 days from now with the Dragon Ball pod. We'll be hearing him soon. And he actually has some news. We're going to be trying to keep things in perspective with some big potential Dragon Ball news coming. Oh, God.
You're
You're going to hear Byron soon in college football, and Jacob finally may get a break since he's been ripping and running since the Royal Rumble. So,
no, Mitch has got a podcast in 6 to 7 days. We need like another one in 5 days.
We'll find something. Join that podcast. Jacob, you just go join that one.
Podcast over here.
You just go join the Dragon Ball podcast now?
Huh?
No, why not?
Nah. Unless we're talking about a bridge, man. Nah. Although shout out Boo Bits are coming back. But
well, with that being said, as the wrestling expert said, CM Punk, if you ever listen to this, Jacob will take your call. And with that being said, L7C Podcast signing out.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C Podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.